feel like I've done this before, huh?
Well, folks, it's time to do another fishing report. And normally, I'll like to do these things on a nice little quaint spot on the side of the rivers or the creeks, so I have a cool little background. Ain't happening today. We're back in the disaster I call my fly tying area, and it's a mess. I haven't been doing much tying over the last few months, as you can imagine. It's kind of hard to tie flies and be on the river at the same time. But anyways, I'm here because it is cold and windy. It's blowing about 25-30 miles an hour outside. It's about 20-25 degrees, and right now it's spitting snow. Yeah, it looks like we're kind of making that transition from the fall fishing campaign, and today is pretty wintry, to the winter campaign. So yeah, it's snowy and it's wintry. So anyways, a couple quick announcements. Yes, we are still taking, as always, the names for the spade casting clinic we'll do in the end of August. And but that's the other thing, is we do have some winter dates available. If you're interested, contact us and we'll talk about the options. Winter can be pretty sketchy with the weather, as you all know. So yeah, it's a little bit more planning and gosh and by golly with the winter fishing. But anyways, let's see. Also, I'm working on a brown trout fishing video right now. I should have that up eventually. It's been a little bit slow. And I like doing those fishing tip videos. So if there's a fishing tip you'd like me to go over, put it down in the comments so I can see it. I'm always looking for ideas. Also, going into this winter, it's fly tying time, or getting fly tying time. If there's any flies you'd like me to do a video of and how to tie, or any suggestions, add that to the comments, because we're always looking for fly tying suggestions. The problem with our fly tying videos is not a lot of people follow them. So we want to find out what you're interested in so we don't screw up our, whatever you want to call it, with YouTube. But anyways, enough gassing off about that. Let's get on to what's going on with the fishing. I'm in Western New York, so I'm going to start out with Western New York. Right now, over the last couple of weeks, not much has changed, other than the fact that morning fishing is generally kind of slow. Afternoon fishing is a little bit better. We've had some rain come through and give us little pulses of water. Some of the creeks got temporarily muddy. Gave them a little bit of a flushing, which is good. That also pulled little fish too. So the creeks have been just ticking right along, about on par for this time of year. Now mind you, we're in late November, and it's snowing and it's cold out. So a lot of times these creeks will get crashed from a fall fishing scenario to a winter fishing scenario very quickly. So keep that in mind when you're picking the type of water you're going to fish. If it gets really cold, those fish will quite often start holding up in the pools and the pockets more than they will on the gravel. And also, the temperature swings in some of these creeks this time of year can be significant, like 6-7 degrees in the course of a day. Cannot be unusual. So keep that in mind too. So expect a very slow morning bite and a better late morning to late afternoon bite could be a lot better with the creeks. Oak Orchard has still got decent water. We've all got good water. All of our creeks and everything else. We are in this area where I fish my brown trout canal supplementation dependent. Right now they haven't started draining the canal yet. I don't know when they're going to do it, but it's time for them to start draining the canal out, and that's going to have a influence on our creeks and everything else while they're draining the canal. And once the canal water's gone, we're going to be more rain dependent. Now the groundwater is starting to fill up, so we should be okay. We traditionally are okay by this point in time with natural runoff and precipitation. So that's kind of what's going on. Flies, more like eggs still. The egg patterns are working very well. If the water's dirty, brown trout and chartreuse, you can't go wrong in dirty water. We're starting to fish a few woolly buggers. Yeah, dirty water, chartreuse woolly bugger, a black woolly bugger, white zonkers. As y'all follow me over the years, for wondering brown trout, you know I'm a big fan of white zonkers. So we got a lot of brown trout now that are done spawning, going to that post-spawn feed. And unlike steelhead, which will eat and leave, a lot of these brown trout, or a bunch of them, will hang out for a while. As long as they're comfortable and there's plenty of food, they'll stay and eat. And some of our creeks do have a lot of food in them. So you want to keep that in mind. Sometimes the lower waters, the estuary waters, like for an example on an Oak Orchard, even Burt Dam, even though I don't like it, those estuary waters will have some gizzard shad and some gobies in there, and those browns will drop in on those and start feeding those, so keep that in mind too. So that's kind of what's going on in here. We are getting a few steelhead. At this point, we're going to need pulses of water, big flushes to really rejuvenize and keep the fishing going. So we're going to be water flush dependent. So that's kind of what's going on here on the brown trout waters. On the salmon, George has been fishing down in the Douglas and Salmon Run pretty consistently, and down in the DSR, it's definitely still a bit of a swing game down there. If you like to swing flies, the DSR is actually going to be right now your best option to go. More because there's not a lot. No, there's not a lot of fish. There's very few fish. Yes, you're going to have to tear through that run and cover as much water as you can to be as efficient as you can. Your swings, because of the water temperatures, are now in the low 40s. Some days even the high. Like today, it's probably in the high 30s. It's with the snow. They're getting a lot of snow right now, folks. I think Ricky said around 10 inches is at his place, so they're getting hit. You're going to want to slow your swing down and just have a very low, slow swing, but this you can still pick some fish up on the swing. You are going to be fishing for 3 to 6 fish down there. That's reality. Keep in mind, the bottom end, especially the DSR, does not hold steelhead for long. They kind of come in, hang out, and within 24 to 48 hours, they continue their journey on upriver. So the DSR is constantly turning fish over. That's the beauty of it. They don't get beat up, and they don't get really keyed in on an egg bite down there, so they work good on the swing and fly, and you do have fresh fish, but you got to fish a lot of water to find that fish. So that's kind of what's going on with the Douglaston Salmon Run. Oh, by the way, with the Salmon River, please note, at this moment, the dam release is at 750 CFS at the dam release. I think Pineville's reading around 900, so you're going to see some pretty good water down on the bottom of the Douglaston. So if you're swinging flies, bring the 10-12 feet chunks of T14. You're going to need them. And some heavy intruders. If you've got some nice big stuff with some lead eyes on them, or some kind of heavy, or some cones on them, and they're nice and big and meaty, right now is the time to run those. So that you might be able to get a fish to come and pound one of those things. But otherwise, keep it as a standard size. I always say keep them between around 2.5 to 3.5 inches long, give or take 3 inches. So, and also, it's been doing pretty good down there with some pink and white stuff. That seems to be working pretty good down on the Douglaston Salmon Run. So once you leave the Douglas Salmon Run, upper river, Ricky's been working the upper river, and he says that there's a pretty decent amount of fish in there. In fact, there's a lot of fish in the hatchery. So that means lower fly zone, upper river has a lot of fish. But folks, it's got a lot of fishing pressure. Rick has kind of said, some days it felt like they were back to salmon season. Just guys hanging out of the trees. A lot of fishing pressure. These fish upriver have been worked over. They are educated. They are crabby. You better be on your game with the drift. Egg flies, yes, definitely. Some nymphs, certainly bring everything. They're not too chasey on the swing right now. It's more of a drift game, but you better be fishing like 3x, 4x. That means that 6 pound, 8 pound. Tippet, be really, really light, very soft, very precise drift. They've been using some kind of like a baby blue Estaz, peach colored Estaz, burnt orange, small nuclear roll bugs, carpet flies. Those have been working in the main part of the river in the fly zones. They're starting to get a little buggy. Some of those fish have been hanging long enough. They're starting to shift over on the stone flies. 8s, 10s. You might have to resort to 12s. Have fun hanging out a hot steelhead on size 12 with a 6x tippet, or excuse me, a 6 pound or a 4x tippet. That could be fun. But anyways, really be precise on your drifts and really slow swings. If you want to swing, stay with some of the smaller buggy stuff. Smaller wet flies is where you're going to want to swing, especially in the upper river, the way these fish are behaving. They've been worked over. It's just a lot of fishing pressure up top. So that's kind of what's going on. We got some, like I said earlier, Rick's reporting about 8 to 10 inches at his place. The river's probably getting a little bit more because the way the radar's looking, that snow bands have been going right up the river. So there's probably, by the time you see this video, there's probably going to be a foot plus of snow up there. It's been in the mid-20s. The wind's been howling. Typical lake effect early winter day. Now that snow is going to get on that water, and that water temperature is going to plummet. So it's probably upper river is definitely going to be a dead drift. The lower river for the next few days, the fish are definitely going to be crabby. That could all change a little bump of more, air temperature. If we get a bump of water temperature, they'll definitely change. So those fish in the Salmon River are definitely getting, in fact, all of our rivers and creeks on the brown trout water, excuse me, and on the Salmon River, a lot of those fish are coming from that transitional fall water right into winter water. So those deeper pools, that slower water, that more comfortable stuff, that's where they're drifting into right now. So that's kind of what's going on with the fishing. Like I said, I got a couple videos I'm working on. Once again, hit that subscribe button, that bell icon, because we're going to be working on your suggestions for fly tying and tip videos, so you don't want to miss those. If we use your suggestion, we'll even give you a shout out. And yeah, we got stuff coming. Looks like we're going into the winter season, and we're probably going to get more reports from the fly tying desk. Keep warm, watch your toes and fingers, don't get them too cold, and see you out on the river, folks. This is Jay at JPEG Guides and Lost River Fishing. We are a year-round fly fishing catch and release guide service. We fish the Lake Ontario tributaries, and then during the spring and the summer we also fish the inland trout streams, classic dry fly fishing. During the heat of the summer, we will do the warm water fishing for bass and pike. If you're interested in any of our outings or have any questions, please feel free to email us at fish@lostriversfishing.com. Hope to hear from you, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact us.